Welcome to the Deceitful Narrative Workshop. During a courtroom break, my lawyer leaked 4 transformative words. We located the house. For 3 months, I'd been branded a liar. 3 months of watching my wife cry for show before judges, mediators, and anyone who cared to listen. 3 months of my own children regarding me as the antagonist in a story penned long before they knew I was part of it. That frosty morning in court, under buzzing fluorescent lights, I finally had evidence, not mere suspicions or theories, but evidence. In exactly 47 minutes, Christine Mercer would learn what befalls those who construct their case on a bed of falsehoods. But let's start from the beginning, because the woman who accused me of concealing assets was concealing something far more valuable than money. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 54 years old, and for 22 years, I thought I was married to my confidant. 1999, I met Christine at a mutual friend's barbecue. At that time, she was a paralegal at a small downtown firm while I was 3 years into establishing my own HVAC business. We found common ground in our shared values of hard work, self-made success, and the belief that a committed couple could create a fulfilling life. We married after just 14 months, with a modest ceremony attended by 40 guests. As her father walked her down the aisle with tears in his eyes, I felt like the happiest man alive. For the following 15 years, I would describe our marriage as good, not perfect, but solid. Together, we raised Mitchell and Caroline, now 24 and 21. Over time, my business expanded from a single van and toolbox to a company with 32 employees and contracts throughout the region. Christine handled our family's finances due to her background in paralegal work, understanding document management, organization, and record keeping. I placed absolute faith in her. That was my initial error, arguably the sole significant misstep, as signs of dissolution emerged around our 16th year. Christine grew detached. She reproached me for working excessively, although my employment provided our financial stability. She embarked on weekend escapades to visit her college roommate in Charleston. She joined a literature group that convened each Thursday evening, a fact I recognized but chose not to probe. I convinced myself that all marriages experience stages. I convinced myself we would re-establish connection once our children had moved out. I reassured myself about many things that permitted me to rest at night. Then, 18 months ago, Christine confronted me at our kitchen table and disclosed her desire for a divorce, asserting no accusations against me that evening. No infidelities, no mistreatment, no concrete criticisms. She claimed she had drifted away from me, that she yearned to discover herself, expressing hope that we could part ways peacefully. I was heartbroken, but I consented to maintain civility. Considering our kids and business, shared memories across a lifetime, I proposed counseling initially, yet she declined, stating she was resolute, which should have been my second alert, given she had previously consulted an attorney. Despite my broken heart, I failed to consider the situation strategically due to believing Christine was the truthful, fair woman I wedded. Subsequently, I enlisted an attorney named Helen Bryce, who came highly recommended by a business associate. Helen proved to be competent, seasoned, and forthright. During our initial meeting, she inquired about my marital finances transparency, a query that later proved prophetic. I disclosed Christine was handling the financial aspect, but I trusted her. Helen's expression remained unaltered, though something hinted at unease behind her eyes. Let's ask for complete financial disclosure straight away, I suggested, to prevent the other party from making any changes, and I concurred, thinking it was a routine step. I hadn't the slightest idea about what we were on the verge of unearthing. The financial discovery process lasted for 3 months, involving numerous document requests, bank statements, tax returns, credit card records. Christine's lawyer, a man named Gerald Stanton, was initially cooperative, but later became evasive, delivering documents late or incomplete. Some accounts were strangely omitted, and Helen spotted the pattern before I did. During our second month's phone conversation, she claimed I was concealing something, and the mystery lies in what exactly that could be. To investigate this matter, we engaged a forensic accountant named Raymond Casalano, who at 62 years old has a long history with the IRS before going private. Known for exposing hidden funds, his fees were substantial, but Helen assured me it would prove worthwhile. If there's any truth to her suspicions, she stated, Casalano will uncover it. As the situation intensified, Christine took further legal action. She filed a motion accusing me of hiding assets, claiming undeclared income from my business, secret accounts, and systematic concealment of our actual net worth with the intention to defraud her. During the preliminary hearing, she wept in front of the judge, speaking of her career sacrifices to raise our children while I grew my empire, portraying herself as a victim, a faithful spouse deceived by a financially motivated partner. Judge Walter Pemberton maintained an impartial demeanor as he required comprehensive financial disclosure from both parties. He appointed a guardian ad litem for our adult children, since Christine claimed I had influenced them against her. However, Mitchell and Caroline hadn't spoken to their mother for 6 months, not because I had turned them against her, but due to an independent discovery. My son Mitchell was assisting his mother in setting up a new laptop 3 months before she filed for divorce. During the data transfer, he stumbled upon a folder that Christine had neglected to delete, containing hundreds of emails dated over 3 years from a man named Brent Holloway, who was her cousin by marriage and her aunt's stepson, having no blood relation at all. He resided in coastal North Carolina and worked in real estate development. These emails were not romantic. They were more troubling, being of a financial nature. My son Mitchell showed me screenshots. His hands were trembling as he gave me his phone. "Dad," he said, "I suspect Mom has been embezzling from you." The emails exposed a scheme lasting at least 5 years. Christine had been siphoning funds from our accounts, starting with small sums, then escalating to larger amounts, which she was investing in real estate through Brent. Properties acquired under her maiden name Holloway, properties that didn't appear in our financial disclosure. Among them was a 3-bedroom beach house in Emerald Isle, North Carolina, bought 18 months before she filed for divorce, now worth $840,000. My wife had accused me of concealing assets while I sat on nearly $1 million in undisclosed real estate. In that moment, I made a hard choice. I did nothing. Helen had cautioned me that the worst action would be to confront Christine head-on. Helen stated, "If you reveal your moves prematurely, she will come up with an explanation." She emphasized the necessity of constructing a solid and indisputable case, requiring relevant documentation. Thus, I waited, collected, and documented evidence. Raymond Casalano traced the financial transactions, uncovering 17 distinct transfers totaling $412,000 over 5 years. The money was initially moved from our shared savings into an account Christine opened secretly, then to Brent Holloway's real estate investment firm, and eventually into property acquisitions. We acquired copies of the property deeds under Christine Holloway's name, discovered receipts for home renovations including a new roof, and found out that Christine had been frequenting her beach house, not her purported college roommate in Charleston, as she often claimed. The beach house was actually 3 hours from our residence. Moreover, it was revealed that Christine's book club met twice a month, as she had told me, but in truth, she was spending her weekends at a property I was unaware of. Additionally, Raymond found additional evidence. We'd opt against filing a counter motion, refrain from preliminary accusations, instead awaiting the trial for Christine to present her case. Let her portray me as the antagonist, let her construct her argument, and then we'll present our evidence. Allow her to build her house of cards, Helen said, then we dismantle it. The trial date was set for a Thursday in November. Sleep eluded me the night before, not out of fear but anticipation. For months I'd been branded a liar, a cheat, a man who'd robbed from his own wife. My reputation within our community had taken a hit. Friends picked sides, mostly hers. Now finally I'd have the opportunity to speak the truth. The courtroom was smaller than expected. Christine, in a modest gray dress and minimal makeup, sat across from Gerald Stanton. She appeared as a woman who had suffered an injustice. I, clad in a navy suit, sat with Helen beside me, her 3 boxes of organized documents marked by color tabs. Raymond Casalano awaited his role as an expert witness in the gallery. Judge Pemberton entered promptly at 9 a.m. The setting included wood paneling, fluorescent lights, and a subtle cleaner's aroma. A middle-aged, overweight man with a gray beard and reading glasses, often adjusting them, had a reputation for being impartial and thorough, not easily influenced by dramatic presentations. First to speak on Christine's side was Gerald Stanton, who stated an opening claim about a devoted wife uncovering her husband's deceit. He portrayed me as a money-obsessed individual, ready to conceal assets instead of equitably distributing them with the woman who had stood by him for 2 decades. Following this, Christine stepped forward. I must admit she was convincing. Over 2 decades of marriage, and I had underestimated her skills. She spoke quietly, wiping away tears with a tissue, recounting her feelings of betrayal as she discovered my secretive financial actions. She detailed how she put her trust in me completely, believing we were partners, and how heartbroken she was to find out about the hidden money in offshore accounts. She presented her findings, bank statements with inconsistencies, business records she claimed showed unreported income, all carefully compiled to convince even me. Gerald Stanton questioned her about the concealed assets. Christine nodded gravely, stating she had found proof that Daniel had been transferring money into unknown accounts. She believed he was planning to depart with everything, leaving her destitute. Judge Pemberton jotted down notes while the court reporter typed diligently. I remained motionless, my hands folded on the table before me. Then it was our turn. Helen stepped forward slowly, adjusting her jacket. Christine approached the courthouse's center, pausing to let the quiet grow deeper. "Mrs. Mercer," she began, "you stated that you uncovered your husband's secret stash of assets. Could you elaborate for the court on how you managed this discovery?" Christine repeated her account, explaining she'd been scrutinizing bank statements, noticing inconsistencies that aroused her suspicion, and suspecting these concealed assets constitute a considerable portion of the marital property. "Yes," Christine replied, "I do believe so," Helen affirmed with a nod. Christine returned to our table, picking up a file, and asked Mrs. Mercer, "Are you acquainted with a property situated at 847 Ocean Vista Drive in Emerald Isle, North Carolina?" The color drained from Christine's face. The courtroom fell quiet. Gerald Stanton leaned forward, his countenance displaying confusion, as Christine opened her mouth but no words emerged. Helen persisted, maintaining a calm and unhurried tone. "Allow me to provide more details. A 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom beach house bought for $765,000 in August 2 years ago, currently valued at around $840,000. The ownership is registered to Christine Holloway. Your maiden name, is that correct?" However, Christine's attorney objected in court, claiming they had no knowledge of this property. This, the judge suggested, was an ambush. Judge Pemberton raised an eyebrow as counselor's client had previously testified about hidden assets. The judge allowed the respondent to present evidence of such assets. Ms. Bryce continued, presenting a copy of the property deed to the judge and another to Gerald Stanton, who seemed surprised, possibly because Christine may have concealed this information from her own lawyer, Mrs. Mercer. Helen then asked, "Did you disclose this property during financial discovery?" Christine replied faintly, That property is a family asset. It belonged to my aunt." Helen produced another document, stating they had the complete chain of title for the property. Property acquired by Holloway Coastal Investments, LLC, a firm belonging to Brent Holloway. Funds for purchase came from a joint account shared between you and Mr. In an unmentioned account, Holloway, funds amounting to $412,000 shifted from your shared matrimonial accounts to this undisclosed account over a 5-year span. Christine looked toward her lawyer. Gerald Stanton examined the documents he held. Neither spoke initially. Helen prolonged the silence before inviting Raymond Casalano to testify. Raymond guided the court through 5 years of suspected financial fraud. He displayed transaction records, property acquisitions, furniture bills, renovation invoices, insurance papers for a beach house that Christine claimed to be visiting her college friend, but was actually funded using marital resources. He also presented emails discovered by Mitchell, where Christine and Brent planned their investment strategy, divorce timeline, and means to secure Christine's access to hidden assets as well as half of mine. In an email dated 14 months before Christine filed for divorce, she wrote, "Once this is finalized, B will never know what happened. We just need to remain patient a little longer." Daniel was my nickname since childhood, and Judge Pemberton read the email twice, maintaining a neutral expression but tightening his jaw. "Casalano," Helen asserted, based on your expert judgment, does the data point to Mrs. Mercer deliberately conspiring to swindle the marital assets? Raymond affirmed, the pattern is undeniable. The accounts were meticulously crafted to conceal assets from Mr. Mercer. The transfer's timing, her choice of maiden name, the third party's role in veiling the financial trail. None of this was happenstance. It was strategized and enacted over an extended period. Christine sobbed, not the calm, empathetic tears she had previously shed. These were raw, desperate, and unsightly. She exclaimed, her voice cracking, "You don't grasp the entire narrative. Daniel was seldom available. He always prioritized his business over everything. I've given up my entire career and life for her sake." Judge Pemberton, interrupting sternly, asked you not about your feelings regarding marriage, but about $400,000 worth of concealed assets. Do you intend to answer the presented evidence? Christine looked at Gerald Stanton, who subtly shook his head, implying silence as the documents were eloquent enough. Helen added one last piece of proof, a set of photographs taken by a private investigator 3 weeks prior, depicting Christine at the alleged non-existent beach house during a 4th of July barbecue, Christine meeting with real estate agent Darlene Vickers to view another property in Wilmington, Christine strolling along the beach at sunset alone, at a house built with funds misappropriated from our marriage. Judge Pemberton declared a break 30 minutes. I stepped outside into the overcast November air and stood on the courthouse steps, taking deep breaths. My brother Neil had come for the trial. Finding me there, staring vacantly, he inquired about my well-being. After pondering his question, I realized that for 18 months I had been labeled a liar. My children witnessed their mother accuse me of crimes I hadn't committed. My friends regarded me with suspicion, and my business partners waited for the case resolution before distancing themselves. However, the truth was now exposed, not through my accusations or shouts, but by amassing evidence and allowing it to speak. So I replied, and for the first time in a very long while, I genuinely meant it. In resuming the court proceedings, Judge Pemberton announced his initial judgments. The allegation made by Christine that you concealed assets was dismissed, as no unreported income, covert accounts, or fraudulent activities were found during Raymond Casolano's investigation. Contrarily, Christine's financial fraud was found to be considerable and substantiated, leading the judge to impose an immediate freeze on all assets held under her maiden name. The case was referred to the district attorney for potential criminal investigations. Temporarily, you were granted full control of the marital estate until its final resolution. Judge Pemberton also addressed Gerald Stanton, stating, "I trust you'll examine your client's complete financial standing thoroughly, as the court frowns upon attorneys presenting misleading claims unintentionally. I advise you to conduct a separate investigation prior to our next hearing." Gerald Stanton responded with a rigid nod, avoiding eye contact with Christine. 4 months later, I was granted 82% of the marital assets, which included the house, my business, and all retirement accounts. Christine received her beach house and the remainder in hidden accounts, now recognized as her sole property due to assets she embezzled during our marriage. The total value was approximately $900,000, but that was all she received, no alimony, no share of my business, no claim to our jointly built life. A criminal case against Christine for fraud and asset concealment is still pending. Brent Holloway, a co-conspirator, faces the same charges. Both are awaiting trial, with potential sentences of up to 5 years in prison. Mitchell and Caroline have stood by me throughout this ordeal, hurt more than I was by Christine's deceit. They had trusted her as children with unwavering faith, but now they struggled to forgive her, not for the divorce or her infidelity, but for the lies she told them about my character while harboring secrets of her own. I cannot say that I have forgiven Christine, yet I rarely think of her anymore. Instead, my thoughts are occupied with rebuilding my life, my business, and caring for our children. I still recall the courtroom moment when my attorney whispered that we had found the house, and I watched Christine's expression change as she realized her web of lies would unravel. For months, I remained silent, allowing her to tell her story, make accusations, and express false remorse, but ultimately it was the evidence, the receipts, that exposed the truth. To anyone falsely accused, doubted by loved ones, or questioning whether the truth will ever come out, remember this: the truth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes you have to go looking for it, hire experts who can help uncover what others want hidden, and be patient as emotions surge. If you gather evidence, document everything, and let facts build your case, the truth will eventually emerge. And when it does, there is nothing more powerful in the world. Thank you for listening to Cheating Story Lab. If you have experienced something similar, or if this story helped you in any way, please leave a comment below. Your story matters too, and remember, sometimes the best revenge isn't a speech, it's a receipt.